A next generation financial system is being built, and it's being built by COTI. Today, I sit down with Shahaf Bar Geffen, the CEO of COTI, to talk about it. What is up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Hit that subscribe and like on the way in. There he is, Shahaf. How's it going?
Hey, it's all good. Thank you for having me again.
Of course, I was just looking, it's been around 6 months, and wow, a lot has happened since then. Kind of, everything from mainnet, the new mainnet launch. Congrats on that, by the way, to a bunch of other
Thank
things.
you.
So before we kind of talk about each of these things, these topics, I wanted to ask you a question. There's so many launches, there's so much news surrounding COTI. It's getting a lot of attention now, which is really cool to see. The question I have for you, I just wanted to ask, what do you specifically want to see happen with COTI? Uh, what do you want to see it, you know, in 5 years, 10 years? What do you want to see it do?
So, and I get asked that, a lot by people that don't necessarily come from our industry, and because this industry is kind of still in its infancy, building the infrastructure upon which future applications will be built, and it's kind of hard to grasp. So when I'm trying to think about the application level, about what can be done with COTI, I always explain that, look, a blockchain is a thing, it's a big thing, and we're not going to have just one in the future. We're going to have several, and we're going to need several blockchains because you can't be very good at something and then be extremely well at other things as well. Like, you need to have some focus that you build everything around this focus. Like animals in nature, all can adapt and survive because they have a few things that they do very very well versus others. And for COTI, it's about the transmission of value, between consumers and merchants. It's about more than just payments, but it's about building the network on which value can be transmitted between multiple parties at a very very high scale. So what did this actually means, and what do I see in the future? I believe that um, many organizations, whether they are private, like major e-commerce or Facebook, as we know, or they are central banks, or they are financial institutions, um, all will fight for the right to issue a currency that people use. Currencies in their current form, and that will live alongside fiat pretty easily, because fiat will evolve to being digital as well. But maybe the sort of organizations that issue it will be different than what we see today. So, like, for instance, and this goes back to our vision about the stablecoin factory, as we call it. It's essentially a coin as a service. We have software as a service today, but I can imagine a future, and this is happening right now, where you have coin as a service. So let's say I'm a major, you know, e-commerce company, right? But transactions are working both ways. So sometimes I need to send money to my clients. Sometimes I need to receive money from my clients. And when I do that with the traditional system, it has a lot of friction, a lot of fees and censorship and latency. We all know that's not big news. Um, so let's say I issue a currency. I call it, my USD. Okay. Um, and I send it to users. The next time I want to pay them, I incentivize them, by giving them better rates or whatever, or loyalty. And they take that. And the next time they want to pay me, they use this currency, right? So right now we have two transactions that were, costless and super efficient. And then next time I send them that, and over time, everybody gets adapted to that, and then, they can start sharing this my USD between themselves, or maybe other organizations are willing to accept this, because this is how currency actually evolves. It's about belief more than anything else. People believe it has value, and they give it this value, and this is how it grows. So for me, the most exciting thing about what we do is empowering organizations to transform the way they see currencies and the way they see how value is transmitted, and actually create new type of currencies. They can be pegged to fiat. It's irrelevant. It's not really important anymore. The important idea is that the infrastructure is different. It's fully digital, frictionless, peer to peer. The custody is either with the merchant or with the consumer, not in some uh, in between that is expensive. And this is what excites me most, and this is how we are building ourselves towards the future. And this explains a lot of the things we do, from Djed to the Treasury. Everything is around this.
Exactly. And I want to touch on some of those things. I kind of saved the last. I saved my favorite for last to ask you about. So in our last interview around 6 months ago, you said you said something. You said infrastructure is more than just technology; it's a way of doing business. When talking about the ecosystem that is being built, I think we were actually specifically talking about Cardano, and I think everything you just said is it's a way of doing business, right? You're trying to change the landscape of that. What that entire way of doing business looks like is changing. So pivoting to infrastructure, right? The foundation to it all is the new mainnet TrustChain. I wanted to ask you. I think there's so many updates about it. I think a lot of people kind of get the gist of it. I want to ask you kind of more on the back end from the team perspective, because I'm always in my mind. I'm always thinking about the team. You know, my firm we recruit for startups in the crypto space, so I'm always wondering about the team behind it. What went into building uh, the infrastructure? Because trust chain is foundational to everything we're talking about right now. What went into building that?
Yeah. So the big title is a lot of effort went into building that, and this is the sort of things, when you think about infrastructure, it's always the developers around it are always kind of anonymous in many ways, because you don't get to see the back end work, and you get it because you recruit people. Like the service side of things is absolutely critical. It's probably the most critical aspect of things, but no one gets to see that. If you're the guy that put the like button on Facebook, everybody knows you. But if you are the guy building the entire mechanics behind it, nobody does. So to begin with, this is super complicated work. It's about software architecture. It's about a lot of math, and we've been working um, with a lot of developers over time. The people that really excel in these sort of things are people that get cryptography and understand consensus mechanisms. They are not technicians, and there are many types of developers. People sometimes just generalize and say developers. It's really just like saying people. There are many types of developers, and even in their mentality. So the people that do our mainnet are mathematicians. Eli is one of them. He's a genius, um, and a lot of coders that do deep technology. So that all goes into this. And what they wanted to solve, were a lot of things that we have a very vast testnet playground with a lot of node operators, tens of them, probably around 60 now. And they usually get the newer versions and tasks, and these are the guys that usually graduate to be full node operators in our mainnet afterwards. So there's like a process, and we test a lot of things that we want to do around scalability, around one of the difficult things around DAGs is synchronizing things. So like, what do you do if like one node malfunctions and it just stucks the entire net? And without going into names, we've seen other graphs failing at that, and having issues, or other sort of problems that you may get if you don't plan for these things. So it's a lot of diagnostic tools, a lot of new innovative ways to increase scalability. And and it's difficult because not a lot of people have developed over a DAG throughout time. With those that did, not many got to a mainnet like we did. So there isn't, too much literature around it. You can't just go googling, you know, how to solve these sort of things over a DAG. This is why I'm so proud of this team and this achievement. And you know what? It went on fantastically. Like it went live. Nobody missed a bit, and it's all fine. And people think, other people here in COTI, like they were like, yeah, of course it works. I'm like, guys, this is tremendous. Like the fact that they did not crash and burn is mind blowing to me. I'm thankful for that. When we launched version 1, and I will never forget that. It wasn't that easy back in June 2019. We had issues immediately, but now this mainnet 2.0 goes live, everything is well, and people will go on with their lives, and it's like, and it's amazing.
And it's just keep building. It definitely was smooth. It was very exciting to see that happen. And I think I was reading recently. I think it was a white paper for your treasury, the COTI Treasury, and there's definitely a lot of genius behind everything you're building over there. I mean, half of that thing, you just kind of got to skip through. Someone like me, anyway, I just could not grasp some of it. The different theorems and stuff like that.
So the big brains, it's important for people to know that it's not me writing this. I am
Mhm.
not the I used to think I was smart, and then I met some team members here, and then I realized I'm okay, but they are very, very smart. So this white paper was written by none other than Dr. Nira Lohani, our CDO, and genius. There are many smart people here. Nir is way out there. So he's the guy that built the white paper, and he calls it a decent work. He doesn't even see this as a stroke of genius. Yeah, it's good. It's
That's
okay.
great. Wow.
I'm okay with it. You can publish it.
I love the humility. You gotta love
Yeah,
that. So so everybody's talking about the decentralized algorithmic stablecoin coming to Cardano, Djed.
yeah,
It's to me pretty, I've had this interest in COTI. A lot of people out there in the Cardano ecosystem interested in COTI. It's really, really cool to actually see uh, how COTI is involved in that. Can you just talk a little bit how that came to fruition, and
sure.
really your vision for it and what you think will stem from that?
Sure. So, um, first of all, it's not like a big surprise, because we're very aligned with Cardano on many things, and we absolutely love the team there. Everybody from Charles Hoskinson all the way to the IOG and the Cardano team, and we're working pretty closely together. Like I had today 2 calls with people from IOG, and for those. I think people know that, but like IOG is what used to be IOHK, which is like the commercial company alongside Cardano that Charles Hoskinson founded. So, um, we were first with Cardano on many things. Like we were the first to develop payments over ADA with ADA Pay, and obviously the next version too. We were the first to take an investment from C Fund, the Cardano ecosystem fund. We are now the first on Catalyst with COTI. Like now we have our own fund alongside Catalyst Fund, with the enjoying like the innovative culture that Cardano has developed with our community. So Djed was kind of like the next big thing, and I think like I was like fortunate enough to be on stage with Charles Hoskinson in the last Cardano summit for the closing keynotes. As we joked about it, I was like the oh, one more thing sort of moment, like Steve Jobs used to have. And the Cardano is developing technology, right? Not necessarily the entire framework that creates out of technology creates a full business around it. They actually prefer that people that they rely on actually develop the business around it. And stable coins, and segueing back to what you said earlier about developing that infrastructure is not just a technology. Stable coins have business aspects to it, and marketing aspects to it, and obviously regulatory aspects to it, and licensing, and so on and so forth. So instead of Cardano developing the whole thing, they were looking for a partner. And just quoting Charles Hoskinson about this, they thought we were the perfect partner, and this is how it all came about.
And and this is kind of everything we're talking about, including Djed. You mentioned stablecoin, factory, catalyst, and we're going to pivot here in a second. It leads all into, correct me if I'm wrong, the Treasury that should be launching
Yes.
early next year. And in a couple minutes, I want to talk about that because it really is. I mean, when I started really digging into it, I'm just realizing how big this is for COTI. But kind of taking a step back, the stablecoin factory, this could potentially lead to some big partnerships and big clients, right?
Yep.
Do you have any in the pipeline? Is there a timeline
Oh yeah.
on when we might start seeing some of that start happening?
Yeah. So we actually have like, what's exciting to me is that the sort of things we were talking about, in 2017, like the stablecoin factory was envisioned literally in 2017. But if you've I'm tempted to say that if I talked about it back then, nobody would listen. But I wasn't tempted. I was talking about this in 2017, and indeed nobody listened. And it's not that I'm suddenly right. It's just that sort of understanding and market, and the overall ecosystem just grew kind of naturally into this. And uh, so it's really great to see the sort of responses that we're getting now from major organizations and clients who are interested in doing this, and for various reasons, whether it's to avoid censorship or to reduce costs. So other than cost reduction, that is obvious, and censorship, what's really exciting is to see, and we're not talking with a client um, that has millions of users, and they're all pretty young, like young in their, I mean, in their 20s. Um, he sees this as more than just cost reduction. He sees that as loyalty, but also about sending the right message to his young clients, and like, yeah, like, I want you to be the custodian of your own currency, not through a bank. This is like way cooler that the people kind of own a currency of, and again, I don't want to give names, but like, of that retail, the way it works, because he has online presence and physical presence, and it all's coming really fast from the phone. So I think we now live in a pivotal area in that sense, and it's about the technology behind money specifically, and there are various ways. There's decentralized finance, and there is store of value. There's all vast of a lot of services out there. We are just very focused on what it would be like to do consumer merchant payments in this digital era. And it's great to see how it all comes around right now.
Cool. Yeah, and kind of tying into that a little bit, and we talked about this very briefly, Catalyst, Catalyst native. This is another thing, as I was really just digging into it and really thinking about it. The Cardano ecosystem, Catalyst being, we hear a lot about Catalyst, but essentially it's that step towards, that first step towards on-chain governance and the Voltaire era for Cardano. And with Cardano native, here we go again with COTI. Another first, the first company to launch on Cardano or Catalyst native. Tell us a little bit about that, what that might kind of bring, maybe even from a marketing perspective, exposure perspective for COTI.
Sure, sure. Yeah, and this is also something that came about in the last Cardano summit. I had a conversation with Mr. Dol Galbash. Is the guy that actually kind of runs Catalyst. Amazing guy, and we were talking about this, and I immediately saw saw the value, and then we picked it up with his team, and it's all quite amazing. And like this, like I assume that everybody understands what Catalyst is doing, and just in case people don't, so just think of it like as in an innovation fund where kind of like the public gets to decide what is innovative enough and what team seems of enough quality to get funded, and this is how things happen, and people care because this is part of their ecosystem. Like, you don't have things there that are completely disconnected, and it used to be all about Cardano, and it still is a lot about Cardano, but now it becomes some sort of like a service, and we're like a design partner of this, trying to figure out, hey, can COTI benefit from this as well? Can we like open a fund on top of the infrastructure that Cardano has already put with Catalyst, and I kind of maybe bring in our community, but also enjoy Cardano's community, and let's just put a challenge out there that makes sense, like something that we need and that we are willing to fund, and let's see how well this community is doing around it. So what it brings is obviously the exposure. We feel very fortunate to be in a space where we get to be the first and be out there in front of Cardano's big community, and Cardano's community is one of the biggest out there for sure. So there is that. There is also the scale up of production. We're 40 now. We are actively recruiting, but there's never enough people to what we actually want to do. And being able to just outsource development in a way to the community is brilliant, because it doesn't only solve the development aspect of it. It kind of brings in the ready-made marketing to it, because then like the people that have developed it and the entire community is aware of that feature or that ability, and they make sure that everybody else is aware of it because they created it. It wasn't just brought in. And this is why we picked something that we wanted to do for a long while. It's not too complicated to do, but just takes time, and we didn't get around to that, which is integrating AdaPay to the biggest e-commerce systems out there, like Shopify and WooCommerce. And we've asked the community to build that. So it just started. There's already some engagement over there, and the community will pick teams, and these teams will develop these plugins, and we'll put it on AdaPay, and then anybody that has a shop out there powered by one of these systems can actually start using it, and it adds scale, right? And what it means is that, and this is like why this whole cycle works, because it adds scales. It means that there are more usage to both to Ada and for COTI, and that is exactly what this community wants, right? Both communities, this is exactly what they want, and this is how everybody wins. And you cannot do these sort of things without tokens, because now you have like a common denominator that everybody uses and everybody loves, and now it works. So this is why I love this whole Catalyst thing, and we're going to build a few more funds out there. Like, I already have like a few ideas about what's next.
Nice. It is too cool. I mean, this technology getting the community involved in this decentralized manner as well. And I think it's awesome that
Yeah.
COTI is at the forefront of that. So everything that we're talking about here, you have really kind of released all this stuff, all this news has come out. It has been very smooth, right? Including the trust chain. But I think if you just think of each individual thing and what it entails, what goes into building it, what it's going to do, it's huge in my opinion. What's even bigger, when I see all of these things that we're talking about coming together, all branching into this thing, it's this thing that is the core to it all, uh, which in my view is the treasury, right? And I think it's launching, is that early next year, I guess?
Yeah, yeah. I'm experienced enough now not to give dates, but I have a date that the team gave me. But yeah, very early next year.
Okay. You sure you can't drop a date right now?
Look, they said I'll regret it. So let's
Okay, don't
just
do it.
say I
Early next
said
year.
end of January, and then yeah, let's just say I've said end of January, and then we'll see.
I had
But
to ask.
again, like
I had to ask
giving
Shahaf.
dates is the no. I get it. Like, and look, I know the date, but this sort of things are complicated, really, and then like especially on something like a treasury, right? This is not just a cool button. This is like where people are gonna lock in, hundreds of millions.
Yep.
I don't want to get this wrong, right?
No, I
So
know.
we gotta get it very, very right. And if the team does not feel um, it's enough, we battle tested everything, all scenarios. Like if they don't give me, I'm okay with putting my life savings in this treasury, then I'm not going live, regardless of dates. So this is why I try not to give specific dates. But yeah, early next year is a very good estimation.
Well, I enjoy the fact that you have a date in your head. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay,
People gave me a promise, but yeah.
so the treasury, any user will be able to choose to stake their COTI in the treasury, right? They'll
Yep.
also be able to receive treasury tokens, like kind of based on
Yes.
their risk appetite, like, and they can adjust that. Is that how it works, or can you talk a little bit about that?
So the idea, so okay, so COTI's staking program is extremely popular, right? Right now we're at the staking 3.0 program, extremely popular. In fact, like for every COTI in, like staked, the demand is like five more COTI that wants to be in and can't because of how it's built, right? It's not very flexible in many ways. So we have that. But now, over the last 2 years, we have an understanding of how actual pools look like, how DeFi looks like when it works well. So the treasury is a good mix of both disciplines. So the idea is that you can come in with a Viper wallet, right? So it means that you've been properly KYC'd, and that now this whole thing can be regulated if needed. Like we don't need to worry about the future and someone just you know sending a cease and desist or whatnot. This whole thing is built right from day one. Um, they can choose how much they want to stake, kind of like in DeFi when they send funds to a pool, but it's like a one-sided pool. You don't need to pair it with something. Um, you can pick the amount of time you want your funds to be staked, and you can pick like the sort of like risk level. It's kind of like leverage, but not exactly like leverage, but kind of like how exposed I want to be to price fluctuation. But in returns, you get better APYs, right? So it's not one size fits all sort of thing. It's I design the way I want to interact with this treasury, um, and then I get my API what's right for me. In return, I'm obviously getting something like the LP tokens we have, like the liquidity pool tokens, like you custom to get on DeFi. Um, but also, and this may not be the case from day one, but but down the line for sure, like some sort of a governance token, because again, this is a treasury. We want this to be decentralized, and we want to have COTI holders governing this and enjoy this. So yes, there will be like another governance token down the line for COTI, which is different than the actual COTI. And these are the sort of things you will get by interacting with the treasury.
Okay, gotcha. And in reading about how it will grow, the treasury will grow. All of these things we just talked about: stablecoin factory, Djed, TrustChain, uh, any
Yeah,
ecosystem partnerships, merchant services, like everything we're talking about is basically going to fuel and grow the treasury, right?
exactly. Like sometimes, like we're building a full ecosystem. This is not just one trick pony. We're building an ecosystem, and we always thought like, how do we let COTI holders enjoy this ecosystem more than just the demand for COTI growing? Like like how can everybody enjoy this? And we have this adventure and this thing we're doing and this thing we're doing. Like how do we funnel everything to one place? And the treasury is exactly that place. Like everything that we have built in the past, everything that we're building now, everything that we will build in the future, all the upside of it just funnels back to the treasury, and then the people that are engaged with this treasury enjoy it. It's that simple, and it's amazing because nobody else is doing it. I know everybody else are either very inflationary or the rewards are just coming from a cycle of fees for services granted on specific service. This is kind of like I like maybe BNB and the Binance ecosystem, but like what would happen if you funneled everything to BNB staking, not just various different services. And the BNB token grew a lot because Binance have developed a serious ecosystem. You can agree with more things, but Binance have developed a serious ecosystem, right? And that kind of reflected in the BNB price, but not in the tokenomics of it. And we're going to factor everything to the tokenomics, to the rewards. So, this it's like a kingdom, and everything flows into the treasury, and as part of this ecosystem, you're just going to enjoy the upside of it. And I think this will be like a new era for COTI,
Yeah. I think a
because
focus.
obviously, a lot of tokens will be locked in this treasury, right? And a lot of the the the, the annoyance that we have, ERC native, and I think everybody will convert to native, lock it in the treasury, and just enjoy the rewards because it's best form of income, and that creates like a very good cycle of like a very good feedback loop to things. And this will be super critical, pivotal moment in COTI's life when this
Yeah.
is launched and everybody are staked in.
I think it's important to highlight something you just said. I think it's really important, which is your priority to make sure CODI holders are enjoying the ecosystem. I think
Yeah.
that's the fact that that's one of your priorities, that's a focus of yours. I think it says a lot. And that's how you build great things. It's how you build great companies. It's how you build great technologies. So I wanted to highlight that. So we kind of covered a lot. One of the things I just kind of wanted to ask to end this chat is, out of everything we are talking about, all of your recent updates and news and everything, what's what's your most favorite recent update or thing that has happened with Cody? What's your favorite thing?
Wow. I think it's a big puzzle of things. Like you can't see the full picture, if you just take out, a few pieces out. I'm excited about maybe my top three things will be um, the treasury, obviously, because that's like a cornerstone in everything. Djed, because I think Djed will grow the treasury a lot. And we name it stablecoin factory, but think of it more like a coin as a service, like the full infrastructure that we can give enterprises, and transform them into a into an era where currencies are digital. I find this super exciting. I enjoy the conversations we have now with these enterprises and clients. The moment when they get it, like they're already coming in, half convinced because they're the one that they usually, create these conversations. And like they think they understand how big this is. And when they finally get it and realize this is actually bigger than what you thought, it's great to see, and we feel like, we're changing the world a bit by, guiding these major clients into a new era. And it's exciting to me.
Yeah. It's exciting to a lot of people as well what you're doing over there. So we all appreciate it. So that's your top 3. Okay, it's your top 3. That's fair
Yeah.
enough. Top 3 favorite
Yeah,
things.
I couldn't settle on one. I'm sorry. I know I'm like a kid. Sorry.
It's okay. So yeah, I listen, Shahaf, I really appreciate you coming by. Is there anything any closing words, anything you want to say to the community watching? Everyone's always loving seeing you on video, and
Yeah.
is there anything you want to say to them?
Um, well, first of all, thank you for having me. And I have to say, sometimes I feel like a boomer for not understanding how important videos are. And it was actually the community that said, do a video every week. And now I'm almost doing that, and it feels like it's working. So I get it. So thank you for that, and thank the COTI community for that. Um, Maybe one small topic which I think is pretty important. We are giving away like $1 million in prizes. It's a bit more than that right now. A bit more than that right now. In prizes for our major like crazy NFT raffle. While I think it's not too late to join. I've seen like a marketplace where people give away, sell away NFTs. Like I want to see someone getting money that kind of changes his life or shifts his life a bit. So I'm pretty excited to see who that person is. Obviously, I've never given so much money, and I'm pretty excited and humbled about this. When we started this, it wasn't $1 million, but now it is, and hopefully it will be more by the time we give away the prize.
So how
Uh,
if somebody wants to learn more about that, where should they go?
COTI NFT raffle. I'm sure if you Google that or just join our channels, you cannot miss this. And
Okay.
this is like the last season right now, and people are collecting all sorts of NFTs. But like, if you have a rare one, you can probably sell it, replace it, or try to build collections. Like, we made it so that it's very highly unlikely that you can win this game working alone. Like, you have to cooperate with people,
Yeah.
and if it's not in your nature, then you're gonna have to move a bit out of your comfort zone, because you can't win otherwise. So we've built this this way, and it's exciting to see. Like, I'm following this closely. I love it.
Teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, Shahaf, hopefully we can do this again before 6 months go
Sure.
by, right? Because
Yeah.
I love having
Anytime.
you on the channel. It's awesome. Really excited about COTI personally. So thank you so much. It's an honor to have you here,
Yeah.
and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. That was Shahaf Bar Geffen, CEO of COTI. Thanks, Shahaf. Everyone, what do you think about COTI, what they're building? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.